Right. Okay, I'm going to ask you the questions here, and we'll get started. You ready?
Yep.
Good afternoon. Today is November 11th, 2014. My name is David Zapata, and I am conducting an oral history interview at the Danville VA in Danville, Illinois. With, please state your name and
Jerry H. Minor.
let's see, and then please state your name and address for the record.
Jerry H. Minor. And you want the address?
Mm-hmm.
1507 South Bridge Drive, Urbana, Illinois.
All right, so segment one, jogging memory. Which wars did you serve in?
I was in Vietnam
Okay.
for a while.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
No, I was enlisted.
And what was your age at the time?
Oh, probably about 30, 35.
Now, where were you living at the time?
Before I went to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was at Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota.
All right. Were you single or married?
Married.
And why did you join?
That was one of my aims, to join the Air Force way back.
And why did you pick the service branch you joined?
I thought the benefits were better.
All right. Do you recall your first days in service?
Oh, yeah.
What did it feel like?
Strange. When you first thing they do when you first come in is to try to keep you unbalanced.
All right. Tell me about your boot camp training experiences.
When I first arrived at San Antonio, we were made to stand in this parking lot at attention for about 45 minutes until a bus arrived with a couple of guys in it, and then they took us to the base.
And where was your boot camp?
Blackland Air Force Base.
Did you get to go home on leave after boot camp, or did you go straight to your first assignment?
After I arrived at boot camp, I stayed there until our boot camp training was completed.
Do you remember your instructors?
Oh, yeah. The chief instructor was Airman Art Siller, S-I-L-L-A-R-P.
And how did you get through it?
Pretty good.
Did you have any special buddies in boot camp?
Well, we had acquaintances with no buddies.
All right. Going on to segment two, experiences. Which war did you serve in,
In Vietnam.
and where exactly did you go?
I arrived at Ben Hoa Air Force Base in Vietnam at 0200 a.m. and the temperature was 88 degrees. Luckily, there were no firing or shooting going on at the time. But when they opened the doors of the plane, first thing they did was greet you, told you, welcome to Vietnam, welcome to Ben Hoa Air Force Base. In case of rocket attack, run from the plane in a crouch position, go inside the terminal, get against the concrete wall, and stay there until you get an all clear.
All right. What was your job or assignment when you got there?
I was in charge of the key punch area with the father computer building.
Did you see combat?
No, I've seen prisoners under guard, but and I've witnessed combat. Luckily, the fire wasn't aimed at me.
Were there many casualties in your unit?
No.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
After arriving in Vietnam, it was just before the 4th of July, and one of my Vietnamese workers told me, "Be very careful tonight because Charlie hit you," which means we were going to be attacked that evening. And sure enough, we did have a rocket attack.
Let's see, what was the weather like? You already kind of explained some of that.
Very hot and buggy.
Okay. Did you have comrades who you remember well?
No, not really.
Were you a prisoner of war?
No.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
No.
And going to move on to the next segment, segment 3, life. How did you stay in touch with your family?
I used the communication system that you get through, trying to think, it was a line that I could get on every so often if I could get through to my wife and family.
All right. And what was the food like there in Vietnam?
Actually, the food was pretty good.
Did you have plenty of supplies while you were there?
Yep.
Did you feel pressure or stress while serving?
I felt a bit of anxiety.
Okay. Was there something special you did for good luck?
Nope.
How did people entertain themselves?
A lot of us would go to the NCO clubs, watch the entertainment going on. Other guys would do a lot of reading. A lot of other people would go to day room and play poker.
Were you granted leave occasionally?
I didn't ask for it.
Okay. Where did you travel while in the service?
I did have a trip to Thailand twice.
All right. Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
No, not really.
Do you have any photographs?
No.
All right. What do you think of officers and or fellow soldiers?
A lot of the guys came on there to do one thing. That was to do the job that they were assigned. Enlisted people were pretty sharp on the ball. Some officers you looked at them and wondered.
And did you keep a personal diary?
No.
All right. Segment 4, after service. Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yep.
What was the day?
It was April 15th, 1975.
Where were you?
Cheney Air Force Base, Illinois.
How did you get home from Chinook?
Well, from the base I drove because I live in the local area.
All right. Did you surprise your family when you came home, or were they expecting you?
They were expecting me.
And what differences did you notice about the world at home, community, family, friends, when you got home to the time you went in?
From upon arriving back, we still had a lot of people trying to conduct protests.
Mm-hmm. See, what did you do in the days and weeks afterwards?
Tried to get reacclimated with my family and get things unpacked and stuff like that.
Did you work or go back to school?
Since I was still enlisted, I went right back to my job.
Did you, let's see, was your education, did you do any further education when you got back?
No.
Okay. Did you make any close friendships while in the service?
Maybe a couple.
Did you continue any of those relationships? All right. Did you join a veterans organization?
No.
All right. Going on to segment 5, later years and closing. What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
Well, after the war, I finished out my time in the service.
Did your military experiences influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Yes, it did. Like, for example, being a musician, there were a lot of songs that were very prominent in my head. And even today, if I'm going down the hall singing a song, like, for example, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the song Alexander's Ragtime Band, but I was singing, let's come along when we take you by the hand, up to the man who's the leader of the band. He can play a bugle call like you've never heard before. Makes you want to feel like you want to go to war. And I said, I ain't singing that damn song no more.
See, you said you didn't join any veterans organizations. Do you attend reunions?
No.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
It helped me to make solid decisions.
What similarities or differences do you see in your world as a veteran compared to that of those currently serving in the military?
They have a much better situation going now because we have a completely volunteer service now. And there were a lot of people that were draftees, not in my group, but I managed to at one time run into a bunch of people that were draftees.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed the difference between the volunteers and the draftees. And it made me make a lot of decisions when it came associating with these people.
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
No, not really.
All right. Mr. Miner?